This podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, hosted by the BatmanUniverse.net. Check out everything related to Batman and the entire Bat family at the BatmanUniverse.net, including news and original content related to comics, movies, television, merchandise, video games, and more. Also, check out some of the other unique podcasts that TBU has to offer. Consider supporting this podcast by becoming a patron on Patreon. Even $1 can go a long way in supporting this content that you enjoy. Look for a link over at the BatmanUniverse.net to offer your support now. And now, on with the show.
Daily Bats, I choose you as champion. Say my name so my powers will become yours. Shazam.
Wait, for real?
Say the key! Say my name. Shazam!
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Bat-Fans. Yes, we're still here. This is episode 175. My name is Tim. I'm going to be your host for this one, but joining me, as always, is Dane. Dane, how's it going?
It's going good, Tim. Preseason baseball is happening right now. It's always good.
For most teams, but the season has actually already started for you, Dane.
Oh, right. Yeah, Ichiro's last game.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
They Oakland and Seattle started the season in Japan. Baseball does that sometimes where before the actual full season starts for every team, they'll pick two teams to go play internationally. It's mainly in Japan, but they've also done it in Italy, I believe, one year. And
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they do that every so often. And Oakland and Seattle had the honor going to Japan. And like I said, it was Ichiro's farewell game, which Ichiro's a great player, going to be in the Hall of Fame, but probably about time he said goodbye. I think he's 45.
He's 45?
Yeah, I believe that's how old he is.
Wow.
Like either 44 or 45.
Wow. And he played regularly for the Mariners, or was he just like a DH?
Yeah, he was not even a DH, a bench player, really, the last few years. He was on Miami.
Yeah. And
then he went to Seattle, which I thought, okay, this is going to be, goes to his team that he started with in Major League Baseball, have like one last season, and that's it. But he kind of hung around, and then I forget exactly if he just signed like a quick minor league deal this year just for these two games so he could retire, but he didn't announce his retirement until after the second game. So
wasn't he on the staff? He
that's
was part
it.
of the staff, right?
That's it. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was something weird. It wasn't a normal contract.
Yeah, it was something like he was a staff guy, like an assistant.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also had it in his contract that he could play.
I guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was something after he played, he'd go immediately into the office, or as a staff member. I don't know.
Kind of like A-Rod, I think. Where they signed a bad deal and they sort of wanted to not have to really pay him that much, I guess.
No, they paid him except for that 1 year he missed because of the steroid suspension. But
right.
They paid him his whole $275. What it was? I believe
over how much?
10.
How many?
10 years.
Well, at least
got a championship out of it.
Yeah, and at least it's not a Bobby Bonilla situation.
Yeah, where they're still paying him. Oh, that's insane.
What was that like? The Mets used the contract as an asset for loan or something.
Something like that. I forget the exact details. It was like too weird and complicated for me to remember. But what was it? It was either might have been Bryce Harper when he signed his big 13-year, $330 million contract. Like someone said, once that's done, the Mets will still be playing Bobby Bonilla something.
Because it's in perpetuity for like 20 years, right?
Something like that. Yeah, that's crazy. Man, I'm sure Bobby Bonilla is not complaining.
But speaking of Bryce Harper, that's a huge contract. I thought, and I'm not sure if you're the same way, Tim, I thought he was going to go to free agency.
You mean Mike Trout?
Oh, sorry, Mike Trout. Yeah, sorry. Mike Trout. I thought Mike Trout was going to go to free agency and somehow wind up in Philly.
I thought the exact same thing. I thought there was no way, especially after seeing how much Harper got. And I actually think Harper didn't get as much as I thought he would, him and Machado. And I think Mike Trout would, everyone was saying, and it's true, how he's the best player in baseball. He'd easily get more than that. And I thought he'd really want to test the free agent market. And just the fact, too, that the Angels aren't the greatest team right now.
Right.
And I'm sure eventually in that 10 years they signed him for, they'll have a few good seasons. But in the immediate future, I thought he'd really want, especially in his prime years, he'd want to go out there and go to a contending team where he knows has a chance to win. So right. I was shocked he stayed there. But hey, I think it's good for the game as for someone who stays with their team their entire career, which is a rare thing nowadays. I think that's awesome. That's going to be the case for Mike Trout. So yeah, good on him. But I was definitely surprised.
What is it, like $38 million a year?
Will it get that high? It might.
I think
it's definitely going to be in the 35 and over range.
Oh yeah, 35. Right. And there's no opt out. Which is, I don't know if that's a good idea.
It shows commitment. I was actually more surprised Harper didn't ask for an opt out.
Oh, he didn't get one either?
No.
No.
So yeah, they're committed to stay, unless they start making a lot of noise like A-Rod did and wanted them to get traded, but they asked to be traded. But
right.
Man, this is the off season of extensions.
Yeah,
everyone, the players in the union were complaining how it was another dry free agency in this off season where a lot of players still aren't signed. But man, it's the year of extensions. So many extensions have happened in spring training. I think I saw a tweet today from Baseball Writer that they're almost up to $1 billion of extension contracts made this in the past month, I would think.
Jeez. Well, like all these big names are going, right? Like Harper, Machado, Trout. If there's one team that couldn't land any of those players, couldn't even be in the ballpark, do you know which team that is, Tim?
Could it be Oakland?
How did you guess?
I'd put Tampa in there, so they're not the only team.
Oh yeah, Tampa.
Man, I never thought San Diego would be the ones to sign Machado, though. They came out of nowhere.
I don't understand why they did that.
I'm sorry, Dane. I had to mute my mic because I was coughing up a storm.
Oh, that's okay.
What'd you ask?
I don't understand why they did that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're on the cusp because I think they have the best minor league system in baseball right now. They have the most number one or like the best top tier prospects. So they're really close to being really good. And I think they felt they just needed, that one big player maybe to put them over the top, which I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I think they need some little more pitching, but they're close. So they probably figured, let's sign him now, and he'll be here for the long haul once our young players develop. So I guess they just have to be patient for a year or two, but they should be pretty good. His
contract is a little under Harper's, right?
Yeah, his is exactly 300.
Oh, it's 300. 300 over 10, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was another thing. Everyone was surprised how his annual value or annual salary is, not even near the top of what other players are getting. Okay. I mean, Zach Greinke's still making more than him on the Diamondbacks.
Might have to renegotiate that contract.
If he has big years and maybe if they gets them a few championships, I wonder if they will, or he'll push for that. Or does he have an opt out? I forget if he does or not, because I remember the big deal that Harper didn't get one. I remember no one talking about that for Machado, so maybe he does have an opt out. I'm not sure.
You see, that's the smarter move, I think, having an opt out. Because what if it doesn't go like how they promised you it would go? In the 10 years that you've committed, or 12 or 13 years that you've committed to.
I know. Yeah, at least have it in there. understand not doing it, especially with, like I was talking about, the free agent market is kind of really dried up and teams aren't spending like they used to. They will stay with the contract they're currently in, but just to have that option on there just in case.
Yeah, especially like Trout, because like the Angels have only made the playoffs twice, isn't it? When he's been on the team?
No, just once actually.
Oh, once.
Yeah,
sorry.
It was 2014, and he didn't have a good postseason. That's the thing. Everyone's waiting for him to like shine in the playoffs, and he hasn't had the opportunity except for that one time, and he was like 1 for 15 or something like that, if I remember right.
Yeah, they were swept, right?
Yeah, by Kansas City.
Well, like you said, I guess it shows commitment to one organization.
And as long as you're happy there, I mean, I guess that's what matters most.
Do they play in Anaheim, right? They don't play in Los Angeles, right?
No, even though they're called the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. They're actually looking for a new ballpark, which I really hope they don't, because they're like thinking of Long Beach and other areas, which like isn't the perfect spot because I'm close to it.
Oh, you're close to
I mean, just do a renovation if you need to. Don't change locations.
It's so weird. You know, the Angels looking for a new ballpark. Probably going to get a new ballpark. But yet.
Oh, man, if they get one before the A's, oh, man, I'm sorry, Dane.
Yeah. Hopefully the Angels don't become the new Braves, where it's just like, oh, we got a little crack in our cement right here. We need a brand new stadium.
Approved. At least Oakland got to play in a nice stadium the first 2 games of the season in the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, I wonder if the players were like, "Oh, this is what a major league stadium. I mean, like a pro stadium actually feels like."
At least while in their home jerseys, 'cause I think they were the home team for both games. And I'm sorry that they lost both games today. Season's not off to a great start.
Not at all. Also, dude, is Nintendo still a part of the Mariners?
I think in some capacity, but not as much as they used to. Because I believe their main offices is not in Seattle anymore.
Oh, okay.
If I remember right.
Yeah.
So, but I just still see some advertisements like at Safeco Field in the stadium, some Nintendo, like they're advertising Nintendo products. So they probably still have some associations together.
I see. Well, should be an interesting season, Tim.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
For the Phillies, maybe the Padres, maybe maybe the Angels.
Say, I mean, the American League teams are pretty much a given to make the postseason, but of course, being the diehard Yankee fan that I am, I'm going to follow it as closely as they always do. But the NL East is a division to watch this year. Almost every team except the Marlins is going to be contending with the Mets, the Braves, the Phillies now with their acquisitions, and Washington, even though they lost Harper, they're still supposed to be really good. So that should be probably the most fun division to keep an eye on this year.
Yeah, but I don't know, like every season, except for like 2, the Mets were like, okay, this is the season, Tim. Yeah. This is the season we're going to the World Series. And it ends up, we're slightly below mediocre. You know what I mean? So.
And when they weren't expected too much to make it, they did go to the World Series.
That's going to be weird without David Wright.
Sadly, I've gotten used to him not being hurt so much, that not being on the roster the last few years, or it's not going to feel too weird. But it sucks though. But he's such a good player. He's a good guy too that everyone in baseball seems to love. So what's even going to be weird is going to see Robinson Cano in a Met uniform.
Yeah, right. So Tim Tebow didn't make the team this year again.
What a shock.
So next spring break, we're going to get the reports like, oh, Tim Tebow got called up to the big club. Is he going to make it this year?
That's when everyone will be able to wear the Tim Tebow Met jerseys. Where they sold really well.
I don't understand why. I mean, he hasn't made the team. I mean, I guess it's just his name. Right?
Yeah.
And like,
I mean, I don't think the Yankees and Mets don't play each other in spring training. At least I don't recall that happening in a long time, because Russell Wilson's been with the Yankees spring training camp like the past 2 years. So they just have a game where Russell Wilson's playing on the Yankees and Tim Tebow's on the Mets. Why not?
Yeah. But so I guess next season we're going to get our yearly reminder that Tim Tebow's still in the minor leagues for the fifth straight season.
Yeah, it's been that long already. Wow.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's like, oh, is he going to get the call up? Is this the year finally that he gets the big call up? I don't think he's even been. I don't think he's ever been called up. Right?
No, not even September roster expansions. Because I mean, last year was the year to do it. The Mets were out of it by September, so they might as well just do it. And I think there were some rumblings that might be the case, and they might not have the chance next year because that's when the roster expansions change with all these new rules.
Oh yeah, right.
The 40-man roster in September is going to be gone. I mean, it's going to be up to 28. I think it's going to be the limit. So don't get your hopes up, Tim Tebow, man. But yeah, it should be a fun season. I'm anxious to have it get started next week, so it should be a good one.
I don't know.
And I wish Oakland the best thing.
Yeah, I was about to say, it hasn't started off very positive.
They didn't have the best start last year, and they made the playoffs. So,
yeah,
like I said, there's not too many great teams in the AL, so they'll definitely probably be fighting for the wild card spot at the least.
Yeah, but the AL West is a little tricky, I'd say. Yeah. Because, you go back 4 years, maybe 3-4 years, who would have thought that the Astros would have been the top of the AL West?
That was always their plan, to be really bad and then be really good.
I mean, you would have thought that it would have been the Angels, right?
Yeah.
Because, they got Mike Trout,
Pujols.
And so everybody thought that they would be at the top of the AL West, but they ended up being, like I said, less than mediocre. So
that's why Oakland still has a good shot this year. Yeah. I mean, it's Houston, then Oakland, in my opinion. Angels maybe can make a little run, but that's 50-50. And after that, Texas isn't good, and Seattle's not going to be great. So there's a shot game.
Yeah, Texas is another weird one, too. I mean, going to the World Series to the bottom.
Well, that is almost 10 years ago now. It's hard to believe, but it has been a while.
Oh, right. Yeah. That was when Tim Lincecum was still
Tim Lincecum. And if I was a Texas Rangers fan, that 2011 series, I would not be able to watch that. Any highlights. They just spit it up twice with 2 outs and 2 strikes on a batter. Oh, man.
That was Ron Washington, right?
Yeah.
Before he went back to the A's.
Is he still with Oakland this year as a coach?
No.
Okay.
I can't remember where he went.
Yeah, me neither. I know he went back to Oakland, like you said, not too long after. But
yeah, back to his old spot.
Third base coach, right?
Yeah. And I do have to say, one of the most excitable third base coaches.
Yeah. And like, even as a manager in the dugout, he really got into it.
Yeah. Because, like, I've seen pictures of him, like, full jump in the air. Like, and this is an old man. I mean, Ron Washington is what, like 60?
Something like that, probably.
Yeah. He's full jump in the air. Higher than both Tim and I combined could jump.
I would have done that.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Poor Texas.
Yeah, so what happened to Tim Lincecum? I mean, has he just sort of retired? Or?
Yeah, he's retired. I mean, if he tried to make a comeback with the Angels about a year or two ago,
yeah,
I think he did make the roster on the big leagues, but he didn't really, do that much
as a reliever.
Yeah, I believe so. He might have started a game or two, but I don't remember. But I think his time has passed.
Yeah, that's a sad story.
Yeah, but man, he had some great years. I mean, 3 championships, 2 Cy Youngs. I mean, even in that short amount of time where he was great, he got the most out of it. That's for sure.
Kind of like Mark Pryor, I think. Where
he didn't get the championship.
He didn't get the championship, but he was like that dominant pitcher, and then all of a sudden, he just started getting worse and worse and worse and worse until he couldn't make a big league roster, and then he just sort of quietly retired.
Yep, I think was his last team the Yankees. I knew 2011 he tried to join up with the Yankees on a minor league deal, but he never got called up. Yeah.
Gosh. That's that's something.
Yeah. And speaking of Oakland and the baseball, know what I just found out? I mean, we've had on Brian Crosby before, Cros, on some of our early episodes on the show. I never knew Bobby Crosby was his brother, the Oakland A's player.
He is?
Yeah, because we follow each other on Instagram, and you post pictures of being with his brother Bobby Crosby in like Oakland, like at spring training camp or at some location. I don't know if it's exactly in Oakland spring training, but yeah, I never knew that they were related, which is pretty cool. I remember Bobby Crosby when he was playing with Oakland.
Well, hold on.
Do you follow him on Instagram?
No. I'm trying to look.
You're going to follow him on Instagram.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, I'll look it up. That's weird.
Yeah, it's cool though.
Hold on. What says on his Wikipedia page, their older brother Brian Crosby is an artist for Walt Disney.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now I regret not talking baseball with him too much when we played when he was on the show.
I was about to say, it never came up once.
Yeah. Too busy geeking out about comic books and Batman.
Yeah. Oh, see, he Brian Crosby is an animator for the Walt Disney Imagineering.
Yeah.
So they like the hotels and the cruise ships and the theme parks, of course. So
all that cool stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought when I saw that, I was like, "Oh man, that's awesome!" Like you said, how could that not come up in our conversations? How much we like baseball?
I know.
We just never did. Next time. But yeah, so with that, that's our, I guess, spring training wrap-up update for this episode as the season begins. But with that, we can go ahead and go into our Dark Knight Rises minute-by-minute commentary. And for this episode, it's going to be minutes 123 to 124, or the 2 hours and 3 minute mark. So as always, get your relevant media formats ready to go. Your VHS tape, your Betamax tape, your Laserdisc, your HD DVD, your projector, your Netflix physical media, your Blockbuster video membership card, and as always, the best of the best, your VHS to DVD converter device. So if you have all those ready to go, we can start the countdown.
Hey, Tim, did you say HD DVD?
I did say it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I know that sometimes I usually forget that one, but
can't blame you.
Out of all the dead media formats, that's like the most forgotten, I think, because people still remember Laserdisc and Beta, but HD DVD, not so much. All right, I'll give the countdown. Are you ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, play. As it looks like this will be our last time seeing Jonathan Crane in The Dark Knight Rises. Shed a little tear. And as Bane asks for Miranda Tate to be over there, another inkling that, even though I knew going into it that she was Talia, I wonder how a lot of people were suspecting things there yet.
How are these guys getting food?
Well, John Blake throwing little maybe crackers or rations or something down there.
Yeah, but I thought the entire police force was down there.
Not all of them.
Oh yeah, not all of them. 2 people.
Yeah. There's that room where they're all talking together with those agents. There's a pretty good task force there, I would say. Yeah. Maybe 10 or 15.
It's good to see Morgan Freeman having a more active role, you know what I mean?
Yeah, had something to do. Yeah. Well, I don't know. We could say the same in The Dark Knight. I mean, he was Bruce's eyes and ears in the final sequence.
Oh, yeah, right.
I guess a more physical role where he had to actually not just stand in the computer, but actually like go to a location and activate the bat. Then things got really dicey when the water started coming in, so when he flooded it. But I know what you mean. All right.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to wrap it up, but if you have something else to add, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, do you see him outside of a room in The Dark Knight?
Yeah, you do. When he was meeting with Lau, they were having that.
Right, that rooftop dinner.
Yeah.
Or lunch, yeah.
Lunch, brunch, whatever. And even talking to Bruce afterwards, where they were kind of on that bridge area.
Yeah, but that has a roof on it, so.
Did it?
Okay,
well, it looked like the sun was shining through. So. But yeah, so that'll do it for our Dark Knight Rises minute-by-minute commentary, and that'll take us into our feature topic, which is going to be a non-spoiler review of Shazam. But there's just one problem. I haven't seen it yet. They're having the early screenings again, which I think is awesome, like they did with Aquaman. So actually, after we record the bulk of this episode, I will be seeing Shazam, and thanks to the magic of editing, you'll be hearing my review of Shazam right now. So here it is. And just like that, I have now seen Shazam, and I am back to give you guys my non-spoiler review. Yep, but I'll make sure this is non-spoiler because as this episode goes live, we still got about another week before Shazam has its official full-blown release. So I want to make sure I keep it non-spoiler for everyone to, because I got to say, they did a great job with this movie as far as hiding certain big surprises and elements out of the trailers. I mean, I talked about that on our last episode where we were talking about the second trailer and how they really didn't show that much more new footage and how appreciative I was about that. And it really had a great payoff because there was tons of stuff that they haven't even given a hint of in any of the TV spots, trailers, or anything like that. So it was much appreciated on my end, not for the studio not showing some of those cool stuff about the movie. And I want to make sure I do the same and not spoil any of that type of stuff in this review, since we still got a week to go before everyone has the chance to see it. So this is definitely going to be a non-spoiler review. But right off the bat, I just got to say, I thought Shazam was fantastic. It was everything I was hoping it would be and more. And you guys know, even going back from the very first trailer we got at Comic-Con last year, where just the tone and the humor of it just like so much fun, and just a breath of fresh air for something we don't get too much in superhero movies nowadays. And I was plenty excited going into it. And once I was in my seat as the movie started, and by the time it was done, I just had a blast with it. I mean, right off the bat, the thing that's going to stand out most about the film, I believe, is going to be its humor and its tone. And like I said, you got a glimpse of what type of humor we can expect from it in the trailers. That little boy becoming a full-blown superhero and adapting to these new powers and abilities and what to do about it. And it did not disappoint at all on that front. The jokes that we got in the trailer still hit really good amongst the audience seeing it in the actual movie, but there's so much other stuff that just had me laugh out loud laughing, and that's something I don't do too much, especially in comic book movies. But it was so refreshing to get that type of humor in a superhero comic book movie with Shazam. It just really nailed it. It was just the perfect blend of comedy that, wasn't slapstick humor or, I mean, the one comparison you can make is the Deadpool movies, but definitely not as raunchy, of course, as the Deadpool humor goes. But the humor was just perfect for the story that Shazam was trying to tell. And we got those comparisons. Zachary Levi was saying it, the director, Warner Brothers, how it was pretty much the movie Big with Tom Hanks from the 80s, just dressed up with a superhero flavor to it. And I got to say that the description of it was pretty accurate, and a lot of the humor comes from that type of scenario. So it was just great. And the fact that the humor worked so well was because of the great performances we got from the cast. Zachary Levi nailed Shazam. I mean, he was perfect for it. I mean, it's almost one of those type of things where you say he was born for this role. And the way he captured that heroic ability that teenager would have if they were granted these powers was fantastic. But at the same time, going through that, showing that vulnerability about it too, or not knowing what to do with these powers and just being totally confused once he gets the abilities to transform into this grown man with all these abilities. So Zachary Levi gave us fantastic performance. as Shazam. And it's just not limited to the humor too. He carries the weight of the responsibility he comes to find once he has these powers, and this is the arc that he goes through in the movie, which is really well done. So he nailed it as Shazam. I mean, when it was announced that he was cast, I had a good feeling he would be really good for the role, and he more than delivered on his performance. I can't wait to see more of Zachary Levi as Shazam, as this franchise, I'm sure, is going to grow into sequels, crossovers, whatever, but this is not going to be the last time we see Zachary Levi as Shazam. But he wasn't the only shining spot in this movie. Pretty much the whole cast was great. Asher Angel as Billy Batson did a great job playing Billy, that we saw and got a hint of in the trailers as far as what his personality is going to be. A teenager who's on the run, kind of going from foster home to foster home, causing some trouble and not really wanting to get close to anybody, showing that angsty side of a teenager. And Asher Angel did a great job of doing that. But one thing I was a little surprised about was how the kid version of Billy Batson wasn't in the movie as quite as long as I thought he would be. I mean, it didn't take away anything from the movie, or I think is a problem. It fit with the story and the narrative that we're trying to tell in the movie, but afterward I just felt, you know what, he wasn't in it as much as I thought he was going to be. But whenever he was on screen, he did a great job. But probably the other show stealer of the movie besides Zachary Levi as Shazam was Jack Dylan Grazer, who plays his friend Freddie Freeman. And this was a new character introduced in Jeff Johns' retelling of Shazam's origin story, which I'll get into a little bit more of that in a bit. But he did a great job as Freddie Freeman and being that friend / sidekick to Billy Batson's Shazam. I mean, even before Billy gets the powers of Shazam, their interaction with just Billy Batson and Freddie Freeman together was great. Freddie Freeman, I loved how they made him into this superhero fanatic and fanboy, kind of like us. He's obsessed with Batman and Superman, Aquaman. Pretty much every scene he's in, he has a different superhero t-shirt, whether it's a Superman, Aquaman, or Wonder Woman t-shirt. He's just a fanboy, and it's great. It's made even more awesome because it's being told, well, he's being a fanboy in a world that actually has superhero. So there's some cool superhero memorabilia that he has in his room. Some of what you saw in the trailer, like the Batarang, which I got to say, by the way, there's plenty of cool stuff involved with that Batarang, which I won't spoil. But as a diehard Batman fan, anyone who sees it as a diehard Batman fan like I am is going to get a kick out of certain references that happen with Batman in the movie. So cool stuff there. But once Freddie Freeman or once Billy Batson becomes Shazam, their relationship and their friendship goes to another level. It's funny, like I said, more stuff with the humor as Freddie is trying to test Shazam's abilities. There's a lot of great banter with them, but it's much more than that, because you really get to the heart of them becoming friends as the story goes along, and some of the tribulation, I guess, that they had to go through once, adapting to Billy getting these new powers and personality changes with that. So again, don't want to go into too much details of it, but their friendship is really layered, much more than just some fun comedic moments. You really believe into a friendship really growing throughout the course of the movie. So just great job by Jack Dylan Grazer in playing Freddie Freeman. He was definitely a standout character, but really all the cast and characters were great in this movie. Mark Strong as the villain, Dr. Savannah was really good, who had got a little more backstory than I was expecting, which was cool to see. And then just everyone else in the foster home that Billy Batson goes to, all the other foster kids in there did a great job. Again, going back to that New 52 story for Shazam, it was great seeing those characters brought to life, because I really liked what Jeff Johns did in establishing those new characters that Billy Batson was interacting with before he got his powers. So great job there as well. Made for a lot of, again, more funny moments that you probably wouldn't expect, but just a lot of great stuff. But as I said, Shazam was everything I was hoping for and more. Part of the stuff that, was that more that made it really stand out to me was just the great heartfelt story that it had. Again, it's just so much more than being a really fun comedic superhero movie. The way they developed Billy Batson's arc in this movie, I thought was great. We get a little flashbacks as to why he becomes an orphan and has to go to a foster home. And it was going in a direction that I thought I could see coming, but then it went a totally different direction. And this, I'll throw out a minor spoiler warning here, but I don't think it's really that big of a deal. You could probably figure it out, as how Billy Batson is going from foster home to foster if I could talk, foster home to foster home, is because he's trying to look for his real parents. And that is a theme and something he's trying to do throughout the movie. And the way that it gets resolved, I thought was great for the character. It went in a direction that I wasn't expecting to. I thought it was going to follow kind of a cliche or a trope to get the hero motivated to do the right thing, but it went in a totally different direction, which, again, I won't spoil, but I thought it worked really well for Billy Batson's character and make him really focus on how and made him really want to become a hero, and what motivated him to do that, I thought worked really, really well. So just all around that theme of family and finding your true family, even if it's not through blood relations, was really told really well. And just worked good for the overall story that we know about Billy Batson being an orphan and becoming Shazam. So, yeah, I got to give props to really a heartfelt story being told here amongst all the great humor, which makes Shazam work really, really well. And going back to how it was pretty much an adaptation of Jeff Johns' New 52 origin story for Shazam. Going into the movie, I knew that was going to be heavy inspiration for it, but I loved how they adapted it. I thought they did a great job, because if you go back to some of our older episodes where I was talking about those backup stories that were in the New 52 Justice League issues pretty early on in its run, I was saying how much I really love this new direction Jeff Johns is taking Billy Batson and these new characters he's introducing, making him more of that angsty teenager who wasn't, a great kid with pure of heart like the old, pretty much goody two-shoes Billy Batson back in his early days. He made him more nuanced and showing that he's not perfect, and how that is something that, the Wizard had to come to terms with, that not everybody, or he tries finding the perfect human to take on the powers of Shazam. But as Billy Batson tells him in that comic, there are no perfect people in the world. And that was a theme that played out in the film as well. And I love that. And again, going back to the foster kids in the family that Billy has to, try to become friends with. At first, he's really standoffish and doesn't want nothing to do with them. But then how they grow to become friends and a family unit. That was all told really well in the movie, just as well as I loved it in the comics. So seeing those story beats that Jeff Johns, those new ones that he introduced into Shazam's mythology, I thought worked really well on screen. I was so glad that is the direction they decided to go with this movie version of Shazam, because I love that new origin story so much. But just because it was adapting Jeff Johns' story doesn't mean it was a full-blown exact translation of everything. There, of course, are some differences from the comic to the movie. The biggest one being how Black Adam wasn't the main villain here in the film when it was Dr. Sivana, but it still worked really well. That was a change that didn't hurt the movie at all. It's the heart of that story Jeff Johns introduced for Shazam was in the film, and I loved that. And even some of the classic moments we see in the comics, it was already in the trailer, like Shazam and Freddy going into that liquor store, stopping the robbery, how then kind of, out trying to exploit his powers before trying to do good with them and become a superhero. So all that aspect was in the film, and some of the highlights early on, especially once Billy first gets his powers and they're trying to figure out what to do with them and how much fun they can have with those abilities. Those are some of the strongest points in the movie, and probably some of my favorite parts, and really where the humor shines. So yeah, really glad they decided to adapt Jeff Johns' new origin for Shazam, and even more glad that they did a great job with it. I couldn't be more pleased with the story they crafted here for Shazam. And yeah, just overall, I guess kind of more on the DC front and Shazam's mythology. Again, a great job they did with that, especially early on when Billy Batson meets the Wizard and goes to the Rock of Eternity. Just seeing that Shazam lore be brought to life on screen was really cool to see. And there was something I was curious about if they would put in the movie regarding some of Shazam's lore. And they did. And I thought it was going to be a small point or maybe just a reference, but it ended up having a pretty big role in the movie, which was one of the nice surprises that I was hoping to see, but didn't know if I'd get, and I got it. And it was pretty cool. So look out for that. And I'm sure you'll know what I'm talking about once you see it. And just, again, a little history background going on, too, as far as the Council of Wizards and the power of Shazam and just kind of laying the foundations for a potential sequel for a certain character who I think will show up. So just cool little references there for fans to geek out a little bit once they see it. So just like with Wonder Woman and Aquaman, how they did a great job with building the world and the lore for their specific characters, Shazam did that as well. Maybe not quite to the extent that those two movies did, but told it well enough that gets you excited to see that history be told on screen that you know about just from following it as comic book fans, and just the potential of exploring more of that world and lore, hopefully in future sequels. So great job with that too. And like I mentioned earlier, the other DC superhero connections that we get here, we saw a lot of great stuff in the trailer with the Batman and Superman references, but man, there's, I wouldn't say a whole lot more, but a good portion more that will have you laughing and put a big smile on your face, knowing that this is in the same universe as the previous DC movies we got with Batman and Superman. So yeah, just a lot of fun stuff for DC fans to geek out over, which was added to the enjoyment of the movie. And to be honest, I was going to go into some nitpicks, but man, they're really minor. It's really hard to really find something I did not like about the movie. The one thing I will say, and it's not even, I would categorize as a criticism, really. It's just different. If you're going in expecting action sequence like Shazam taking out Dr. Sivana in a similar fight that Zod and Superman had in Man of Steel, there's some elements of that, but not really. So you could say if you're looking for like cool like superhero brawls and fist fights in the action sequences, there wasn't much of that. But I really don't want to put that as a fault for the movie, because the action sequences that they had here, especially in the final act, were so entertaining. It's just in its own unique way that fit well for Shazam's story and the character. So even though it didn't have, it's not quite on the level as Man of Steel and some of the action sequences in BVS, there were still plenty of entertaining moments for Shazam when it comes to some action. So I don't really want to put that as a fault, but if I was kind of hoping to get some little Man of Steel action with Shazam taking on Dr. Sivana. So that's why I kind of want to mention that, where if you're expecting that, maybe kind of lower that expectations on that front as far as, a big superhero brawl action goes. So it's different, but man, it's still very, very entertaining. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I do have another nitpick I have, and a frustration would be a spoiler that happens at the end, and I don't want to get into that yet, because once you see it, you'll probably know what I'm talking about, and I want to hear everyone else's reaction and see what the online feedback of that moment is in Shazam. So it's kind of both cool and frustrating. So I'll get into that hopefully on a future episode once the movie's been out and most fans had a chance to see it, and I can go into more detail on what that is. So but other than that, I really hardly had any complaints with the movie. It is such a fun time. I mean, a breath of fresh air, like I said, for a superhero movie. It's superhero joy is how I like to describe it. A young kid having these powers and showing how fun that could be. I mean, that's what, being a superhero fan is all about, especially when you start out at a young age and just being fascinated and enthralled with these characters with all these cool abilities and imagining what you can do with these powers. I mean, Shazam really shows, it's like a wish fulfillment for that. So, I mean, I'm loving this as an adult, but part of me is a little envious for young superhero fans who are kids, and this is one of the early movies that they're going to see, and I just can't imagine how enthralled and amazing going to be with seeing Shazam and becoming superhero fans for life, I think. I mean, that's how good of a job I think Shazam does, is just really showing why superheroes are so great and fun to be into. And if you're a young kid who's kind of getting exposed to the superhero universe for the first time with Shazam, I have a hard time believing they won't be sticking around for a while once they see how fun it is. And as they get older, explore more, more, I want to say darker, but there are some darker superhero themes out there, but more serious superhero stories. But Shazam is a great entry point for, I think, a lot of young fans. So if this is going to be one of their first superhero movie experiences, I don't think there's not much better out there. I will say it's one of the more better origin stories we've gotten in a long time. And I said how much I love Captain Marvel's origin story, how different that was told. And the same applies to Shazam. It's different from how Captain Marvel does it, but it's in a unique way that we don't see too often in superhero movies, with the premise of a little boy becoming a superpowered being. It's just really well done. And like I said, refreshing. And the way they told it made it one of the better origin stories we've had in a while. So yeah, I loved it. I can't wait to see it again and for everyone to get a chance to see it. I really hate to overhype things, because the more you overhype certain stuff and the longer you wait to see it, it might not live up to what everyone else was saying. So I don't want to do that too much, but I can't hide the fact of how much I really, really enjoyed this movie. I don't have a ranking for it yet. You know me in rankings, it's a hard task for me to do when it comes to genres that I love, and that of course applies to superhero movies and, for right now, DC films. So, but I have a feeling once it's all said and done, it's going to be pretty high on the list, especially when you're just talking about DCEU movies. I can see this one being near the top for me. I think it's that good. So to score it, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. I mean, it's just really... part of me wants to give it a 5, but I want to have a few more viewings before I definitively say, it's a perfect score. Like I said, there are minor nitpicks in there that holds it back a little bit, but maybe once I see it again, those won't bother me too much, and it'll become a 5 out of 5 movie for me. But right now, I'm going to give it a solid 4.5. So yeah, that's my non-spoiler review of Shazam. Thanks everybody for listening. I can't wait for everyone else to see it and start talking about it more in general and going into some spoilers. But with that, I'll say the magic word again and get back to our regular portion of the episode.
So Tim, did you like it?
Good question, Dane. I wonder what I thought of it. Well, let's see. That's like I said, the magic of editing. Everyone listening right now knows what I thought of Shazam, but as I'm speaking right now, I have no idea what I thought about it. So
yeah, so if it's bad, then we should probably be all depressed about right now. Yeah, so it's like, okay, I guess we got to get to our news and discussion topics, I guess.
If we were really dedicated and have free time on our hands, we should record 2 versions of this remainder of the podcast. One where I'm really depressed and just kept saying, man, I can't believe Shazam let me down. Or one where I'm just really excited saying, man, I can't stop thinking about how awesome Shazam was. Just like how directors sometimes maybe film 2 different versions of a sequence and then decide what to use later.
Yeah, do you want a happy scene or do you want a depressed scene?
Exactly. So, yeah, no spoilers, anybody. Don't tell me what I thought of it right now. But with that, we can get into our news and discussion topics. But regardless of how I felt about Shazam, I'm going to be plenty excited to talk about our first bit of news, because we got the first trailer for Batman versus TMT. And I should say, too, that is the official title, Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because when it was just announced, I think everyone was just referring to it as Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Batman and TMNT. But it is, in fact, Batman versus the TMNT. So needless to say, I was chomping at the bit to watch this as soon as it came online. And boy, if I was excited before just knowing the animated movie was coming, it's taken to a whole nother level now that I've seen this trailer and seen it in action. Man, it just looks incredible. Everything I was hoping it would be. It looks like they're doing. The animation style looks great, even though Batman has that lighter tone with, as far as his costume goes, with the blue design. I mean, it still feels like the darker Batman that we all know and love. And even in there's certain animated shots where he's in the shadows and you just see his silhouettes with the lenses of his white lenses on his cowl shining through. This looks awesome, and the voice acting sounds great. Troy Baker's doing another great job as Batman. The Turtles sound great. And the action just looks awesome. Seeing Batman going up against the Turtles in the brief glimpses we saw in the trailer, it just looks really good. And certain moments coming straight out of the comic where they met for the first time. And I love that. And this makes me more excited. That looks like to be a pretty faithful adaptation, but I'm sure they're going to have their own spin on it as far as doing things and changing certain things here and there. But man, it just looks great. But the thing that got me most excited in the trailer is seeing what I was hoping to see in all the Batman Turtles crossovers we've gotten in the comics so far, but hasn't happened quite the way I wanted to yet. And that is Batman versus Shredder, because two of the best martial artists ever going at it is something I wanted to see. And the fact that we kind of got it in the first one, but I said this in my review, I was disappointed that Batman was in like this mech suit that, kind of powered him up a little bit. I just wanted to see them both fight based on their pure skill as martial artists. So we didn't get that. And then in the second one, we were only teased that Batman and Shredder had a duel or a fight together. And there was only one page as Batman was recounting the story to the Turtles. I was like, oh, that's what I wanted to see. Why did it have to be kind of like a brief flashback thing? So the fact that we're getting it here, because in the trailer we just see Batman and Shredder going at it, no mech suits or anything. It's just them in their costumes just having a fight, and it looks awesome. So I can't wait. It's hitting all the right beats. And man, I don't know if you saw the trailer, Dane, but I don't see how anyone could see this trailer and not be excited for it. If you're a Batman and just comic book fan who likes this crazy stuff, it's going to be so good.
Yes, I have seen the trailer, Tim, and I'm happy to report that I will be seeing this.
Yes.
From this trailer. It's something you said previously. It's the animated and the animation style. I really like the look of the turtles in the trailer. They look the best that they have been.
And I'd say it's definitely one of the best. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm including the new show, the CGI show, and the old show. So I really like how they look.
Yeah, I'm just really glad they just kept it simple with the Turtles, because there is the kind of something where the more turtle adaptations we get, I think the more inclined certain the creators are to change them up a little bit, especially visually, make them stand out more. When you just have to keep it simple and have it what we're used to, just the colored bandanas and their classic weapons. That's it. That's all they really need. And yeah, it just looks really, really good. So definitely glad you're going to be checking it out with me, Dave, because I can't wait to see it and talk about it once it comes out. Man, I'm just so pumped.
And hopefully Shredder has a rapping scene, because just to pay homage to the that terrible stage play that they had.
Yeah. Man, if they can work in a little joke about the coming out of their shells tour.
Yeah, coming out of their shells.
That would be great. I would eat that up so much.
Coming out of their shells. That's the definitive version for me, Tim. You can't top that.
That's true. Yeah, so keep your expectations in this one in check. Probably not going to surpass that concert tour.
I wonder how many dates they played.
I know.
I mean, was it like worldwide? Was it just national?
I think it was just national. Might even be a little strong, but
California,
LA County, maybe.
It went from San Diego to about LA. Yeah, that's it.
Or maybe just wherever a Pizza Hut location was at.
All right. Was Pizza Hut really a sponsor?
Yeah, they were. They made it happen.
Probably Pepsi, too. Because I know a lot of 80s movies, it seems like Pepsi was the go-to marketing sponsor.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
of movies.
The soda of the 80s, I guess.
Yeah.
And early 90s.
And Burger King, surprisingly. There's Burger King in that first Turtles movie. There's Burger King in Back to the Future. And, yeah, surprisingly, Burger King. You would think it would be McDonald's or something. But the king of burgers, Tim. The king of burgers really had it down back in the 80s.
Maybe they felt they didn't need it. They didn't need the exposure.
Well, they did make Mac and Me, so.
That's right. Oh, man. Well, so, yeah. I've never seen that movie. I've just seen clips of it and how it always gets ragged on for being considered one of the worst movies ever. Yeah. There's that famous joke or scene from the movie I always see as a clip where that kid in the wheelchair I think falls off a cliff or something like that. that terrible puppet for that alien.
Yeah.
The facial expression he made.
Or even if you want a good laugh, look up on YouTube the McDonald's dance scene in that movie.
Okay.
It's just a spontaneous dance scene where, Ronald McDonald is dancing with, I think the alien. I think he's dancing with the alien. I can't remember, but
wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. We were talking about doing either Lord of the Rings or The Last Jedi for our next minute-by-minute commentary. Do you want it to be Mac and Me instead?
I don't think you can even buy it. I don't think it's for sale.
Not even digitally somewhere.
Not even digitally.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, but speaking of getting things digitally, they also announced the release date for Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And this is going to be a first for me, Dane. I will be getting the digital version first.
Really? Why?
Yes, because you know how I always complain about the gap between the digital release and the physical media release.
Yeah, you're the only one that does that.
Yeah. This is way too long. So it comes out on May 14th, 2019, digitally. Mm-hmm. And then it doesn't come out until Blu-ray or 4K Blu-ray until June 4th. 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Why?
And I know. It's usually 2 weeks has been the standard, but 3 weeks now? It's like, no. You've heard how excited I am for this movie. You think I'm going to be able to wait 3 weeks while I know it's out there to be watched? Like, no way.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, specifically movies do this, where they release the digital version first, and then the physical version. I mean, you don't see that with video games. I mean, video games, they come out on the same day, so I don't know. It's just weird.
Heck, there's got to be some market research that they figured makes it worthwhile to do that, where maybe the digital sells a lot better at that time than releasing at the same time with the physical release. I don't know, but yeah, I always find it strange. I mean, it's getting longer and longer, it seems, especially on the Warner Brothers front. They're the ones who usually takes 3 weeks. I mean, Aquaman's been 3 weeks. So that comes out on Blu-ray finally this coming Tuesday as we're recording this episode, but it's been out for a while.
Yeah.
So it's just a Warner Brothers thing that's usually 3 weeks. The Disney stuff is usually 2 weeks. Sometimes for the Star Wars, it's pretty quick, where for The Force Awakens, it was just a weekend, which was awesome. Then I think Rogue One was a week. Then ever since then, it's been 2 weeks for Last Jedi and Solo. So I think that's become their standard. But
do you think it's because it's a thing where it's where do you buy DVDs now?
Maybe.
Right? I mean, it would only be, well, for me anyway, Best Buy.
Yeah, let's be the Best Buy or Target for me.
Oh, yeah, Target too, yeah. Walmart.
Yeah, they carry them.
So yeah, maybe it's something like that. But video games, where do you buy video games now? GameStop? How many GameStops are? Oh.
Best Buy, GameStop.
Yeah,
Target.
Best Buy, GameStop, yeah. So
they still have it. But Best Buy doesn't sell CDs anymore.
They don't?
No, yeah, they
thought they do. Yeah. Could be mistaken.
But man, Target's selection is like so small, because that's where I go whenever I want to get a CD. But it's like so super small, and you got to get it like the week a new album drops or something. It probably won't be on the shelf too long.
So you actually go and, let's say 311 comes out with a new album, right? You actually go to Target to buy it?
Just a few bands where I still actually go out to buy a CD. 311 would be one of them, except they do their pre-order pre-orders for the CD, where when you get it pre-ordered early, you get a bunch of extra stuff with it, like behind-the-scenes video, song clip previews, and all that type of stuff beforehand. So I always do that. But like for like the Weezer CD or Foo Fighters' new album, before it was Best Buy, but since they stopped selling them, but Target's my go-to place now where I get the CDs. So it's only the bands that I really, really love, where I already have all their CDs and I want it to continue, because the collector in me would feel weird knowing there's like stopping at a certain point when I have all their other CDs. Like, as long as they're keeping out albums or cranking out albums, I want to keep getting the CDs that they put out. So
I wonder if 311 is going to be one of those bands that only have a digital release, but they sell physical copies in limited quantities, but they only sell vinyl or tape.
They definitely sell. They sell really well in vinyl, but not tape.
No.
Which is, I'm shocked. Cassette tapes are making a comeback, and it's maybe small is a little too small because I don't want to say big way, but it's coming back. It's being more noticeable. Whereas I guess it's a nostalgia thing for people to have, but who would want to listen to a cassette tape?
Yeah, you got to flip it over and everything.
You hear the hiss that goes on every song,
or the click, or the click.
That's right.
I don't know if you ever had one of those where it clicks.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, like nostalgia is like all the rage these days in movies, and we're just thinking about. I feel like we talked about this before, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. But like movies with Guardians of the Galaxy making like cassette tapes popular again, I'm pretty confident that that's what really helped in boosting its popularity again for maybe people who are too young to experience cassette tapes and curious to what it was like and wanted to. So that could be a reason, but I can't imagine if no one's ever heard a cassette tape before putting it in, let alone finding something to play it on and then hearing how bad it sounds where they would want to continue listening to music that way.
It's like, oh man, this is awful.
Yeah. Like, how'd you guys make it through the 80s and early 90s with this stuff?
So it makes me wonder, like, in 20 years, let's say, is CDs going to make a comeback?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. They're going to be like, oh, you know, I like to go classic on these things, so pop in my CD, my physical copy CD.
Yeah, you know how everything goes in cycles, especially like I said, when it comes to nostalgia, so that wouldn't surprise me in the least.
VHS, surprisingly not.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people probably realize how bad quality VHS tapes were.
But even though, like I said, I get CDs for my favorite bands, I don't listen to them. I just rip them once and have them on my computer, put on my iPod and whatnot, and that's it.
So what's the point, Tim?
Because it's better quality, I feel. Like, rip it at the highest quality. But sometimes I don't think you can, like, just from an iTunes or Amazon download. So
yeah, I can't really do that with a VHS tape. So.
No.
I mean, there is the VHS to DVD converter, but
I'm not quite sure that enhances the quality very much. I'm going to say it probably doesn't.
Well, what would your brother say? Because I remember you saying that he has done that for your family videos. Is it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely didn't enhance the quality.
In fact, it got worse.
Yeah, I mean, the lines that are on the VHS tapes made its way to the digital file. So. But I always got to give him props for what he did that, because VHS tapes, the older they get, they're not going to last forever. Yeah. You want to make sure you preserve for like those early family videos. Especially if you want to remember yourself as a kid doing stupid things, which there's plenty of videos of me doing.
Did you ever have one of those, or did your family ever have one of those camcorders?
Yeah,
that recorded directly to VHS tapes? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, my dad got it pretty early on, I would say. I remember such a hassle, man, to lug a big camera plus the VCR that he would need. I remember one of the early Disneyland trips where, like, when he first got it, he wanted to take it. Just what a hassle it must have been for him to lug those, like, two parts of a VHS player and the camcorder. Like, yeah. Thank goodness, man, for someone who knows that stuff, and then seeing how easy it is on just your iPhone now, it's just crazy to think about how easy things have become.
I wonder how much you paid for that. Must have been like $3,000.
It was, I don't know if it was that high, but it was pretty up there, especially during those days when, like I said, he got it pretty early on when it was kind of first coming out. So I imagine it was pretty expensive.
Yeah, because we only had one of those camcorders that recorded to the mini VHS tapes.
Mm-hmm. You got that afterwards.
Yeah.
Just that in itself was a big convenience compared to lugging the VCR.
Yeah, but even then, you still had nothing to play that on.
Yeah, you had to hook your camcorder up to your TV or player in order to see it. So all those are transferred too. Which I will say, one of the first things he filmed was me being a news reporter interviewing my little brother in a cheap Batman costume.
Really?
Pretending to be Batman. And then my older brother hiding. Then my older brother hiding in a cardboard box in the background, popping out in a cheap Joker costume without any of the white makeup, but with a green wig.
Can you send that to me, Tim? I would really like to see that.
If I could dig it up, I will let you see it, Dave. I'll have to go digging for it. I was about 9 years old doing that.
9 years old.
Yeah, my little brother was 6. There was a cheap Batman costume I got at Toys R Us. It was just like a plastic, of his armored chest plate from the 89 suit, and then this cheap little cowl that you just wrap around your face, and you the little binds, like those cheap baseball caps have, to all size.
Yeah.
So it's just like that. You put that around your face and adjust it to how tight you want the cowl. And a tiny cape. It did come with a cape too.
Well, let me just say, I'm so glad that your brother decided to get a VHS DVD. Yeah. Because at least there's the hope that this will survive. You know, when you've passed away, Tim, your great-great-grandkids, who are adults at that point, will probably look back and let's look back at great-grandpa Tim. You know, let's see what he was up to when he was 9 years old.
Let's see what he did for fun. So they'll just see how big of a nerd I've always been, even at a young age. I know he has them on a server somewhere. I know we're networked, so I might be able to look it up. So maybe afterwards I'll try to find it for you, Dave.
It would be the greatest movie I've ever seen.
Well, there's other stuff that I'll never send you. That
you trying to do a jump on your rollerblades.
Oh, there's plenty of videos of that.
Oh, really?
No, just me trying to reenact certain things.
Like from movies?
Yeah.
like you wanted to be. What's a good 80s, 90s movie?
Well, I'll just tell you one of them.
Okay.
Was the first came out when Aladdin first came out. It was because I knew pretty much all the songs by heart.
Yeah.
And my parents, we got to, especially my mom, we got to get you singing and interacting. You know the words. It's it shows your talent at a young age. Of course, I had to look the part too. So. Oh,
so you got the whole Aladdin costume?
No, not really. It's pretty much just me with one of my dad's vests without a shirt on. Just singing to one of the songs.
Did you also do one for Lion King, Tim?
No, I didn't try to pretend to dress up as a little lion. Aladdin was the only Disney movie where I did that.
You gotta send
There's actually a video where I'm singing one of the songs, but you see me get scared because I was really scared of earthquakes. And our house lived right by a train track where you hear the trains going by all the time, and sometimes they get pretty loud where I would think it was an earthquake happening. Yeah. So I'm in the middle of it, and you just see me freak out, put my fingers close to my ears. So yeah, there's a lot of embarrassing stuff on me that I got there.
Well, I just gotta hand it to your brother, for preserving these important artifacts of time.
Yeah. That's what they are, important artifacts. Yeah. So, I don't know about you'll ever see the Aladdin stuff, but I'll try to find that Batman interview. But anyway, moving on to my escapades as a young kid and being filmed on camcorders. Some other bit of news that we got is regarding some TV news. And I guess this could be the time where it's my usual complaint about the DC Universe app not being on consoles. Still waiting. Every episode, I'm going to be saying it. But this makes me want it even more because there's some new casting news for the second season of Titans, and that is that Deathstroke is going to be in the second season, and he's going to be played by Isai Morales. Hopefully I'm saying his first name right. But not too familiar with the actor, but the picture they have of him, this is coming from Deadline. I could totally picture him as Deathstroke. I mean, he already got the gray hair, and he just needs that patch, and it'll be dead on. But I'm just excited they're bringing Deathstroke into Titans. I mean, he's their biggest foe, and it just makes sense that he would have to be used at some point, and I'm glad they're already doing it for season 2. But Deathstroke's already, in my opinion, had pretty close to a definitive performance with Manu Bennett's portrayal as him in Arrow season 2. So I will say this new actor, Isai Morales, I shouldn't say he's a new actor. He's done plenty of projects as Deadline reports. I just haven't seen any of them. But he has a lot to live up to with Manu Bennett's performance. So, but I'm sure he'll be up to the task. And hopefully Deathstroke gets another cool costume. They don't fiddle with it too much because it is pretty much a perfect costume that you don't want to mess with. So, and I believe they already cast for his children too, Jericho and Rose, who becomes a Ravager and mixes up with the Titans. So glad they're bringing in more of the family aspect of Slade Wilson. And if they do his origin pretty closely to how it is in the Judas contract, that I think brilliantly told Deathstroke's story, that would be awesome to see on screen. So I don't think that Deathstroke movie's happening anytime soon. I know that's what I was hoping for with that. So if we get a little bit of his story told in Titans season 2, I think that'd be awesome. If they could just have one episode devoted to him and showing how he became Deathstroke, that would be great. So I'm excited for it. But again, still waiting.
Yeah. I have seen this guy in a TV show I gave up on, which is the Ozarks on Netflix.
Okay, I've heard about that, but I heard it was actually pretty good. But
yeah,
I guess it didn't last.
Yeah, the season 2 isn't very good. Well, in my opinion, isn't very good. But he plays a Mexican gangster drug lord. Okay. So yeah, he could play the villain role really well. So
cool. Yeah, I'm excited for it. And speaking of TV shows, know what I finally started watching?
What is that?
True Detective.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Actually, just finished season 1 last night. Okay. Man, was it good? Yeah, like it lived up to the hype I've heard about it. Just great performances.
Did you sort of know what was going on before you found out?
No, actually, I went into it pretty spoiler-free, not knowing anything.
Oh, good.
Just that it's a detective show. So.
Oh, you didn't know who the killer was, or
nope.
Oh, good.
It was one of those shows where you kind of think, I could see it going this way, but I don't know. And in the end, it went in the direction that I didn't know or didn't expect to happen.
Good. I would say skip season 2 and go to season 3.
I was going to ask you about that because I've read up on it. Season 2's got mixed reaction.
Yeah.
Is it really that far of a dip in quality from season 1?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's what's a good example? It's Pinkerton and then Hurley.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's a pretty big draw.
Yeah. Season 3 is really good. Mahershala Ali is really good in it. Stephen Dorff of Blade fame is really good at it. So yeah.
Yeah, I heard really good things about season 3, and that kind of what made me want to check that out. But it was like, no, I'd probably start at the beginning because I've heard how great season 1 was too. So might as well start there.
It doesn't have that same gothic feeling, that haunting gothic feeling that the first season had.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's like the one thing is like it's just disturbing that there's really stuff out there let people do that.
Yeah.
Type of thing, like how messed up can people be? It's like it's kind of like I said, depressing to realize that. But
yeah, and in season 3, Scoot McNairy and Ray Fisher are in it. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So
Cyborg and the potential
that guy.
The guy everyone thought was going to be the Flash because his legs had the green screen CG material on there, but ended up just being a Wayne Tech employee.
Yeah.
Cool. So we got that to look forward to. But I don't know. I'll probably still check out season 2. It's only 8 episodes. So.
Yeah.
But
also, Game of Thrones is coming back really soon. I didn't know it was going to be this soon. Next month?
Yeah. April, what is it? April 14th? 13th? April 14th. Yeah. It's the same weekend as Star Wars Celebration. So it's going to be a fun Sunday, because Sunday at Celebration, they're going to have the Clone Wars panel. So we'll probably get a new trailer for that. They're going to have the Mandalorian panel, which we'll probably get the first trailer for that, which is going to be awesome and amazing. And then you got the Game of Thrones to close out the night. So it's going to be a fun Sunday.
Yep, definitely.
And the last bit of news that we got is still some rumblings going on with the Flash movie, which, I don't know, I'll be pleasantly surprised once this actually gets off the ground and cameras start rolling, because it seems like it's going to be a while. Because the latest report from the Hollywood Reporter is that Ezra Miller and comic writer Grant Morrison, which was surprising to hear, are taking another crack at the script. And they're actually kind of phrasing it as something where this might be Ezra Miller's last chance to stay on the role, because there's been some, I don't want to say conflict, but disagreements on the direction that they want the Flash movie to go as far as tone. Because the directors they have on there, which is John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein, who are, I forgot it's been this long, but in the Hollywood Reporter's article, they say they've been attached to direct it since January 2018. So they've been involved for a year, and still cameras aren't rolling on it. And just recently, as I know, Ezra Miller gave an interview as far as saying he really wants to get this right, and they haven't quite cracked the script. Kind of similar to what Ben Affleck was saying regarding the Batman when he was involved with writing the script. So now him and Grant Morrison are taking another shot at it, and he wants to have it be a little more darker, where the other directors are going for a more lighter tone, and I'm sure Warner Brothers is wanting it to be a little more on lighter tone, looking at the success of Aquaman and the great buzz that Shazam is having. And so, I don't know, it's like they don't know which direction to go. Of course, balance would be the perfect way to have some darker elements to it, but still having that overall fun, lighter tone that the Flash character does, have most of the time. So it's going to be interesting. I just have a feeling that they're going to turn in the script, but Warner Brothers and the two directors are going to go in the direction they want to go. And I just have a feeling Ezra Miller might walk away from it if he's not happy with it. And there might be another recasting in the DCEU in regards to Flash. So that's the direction I see it going. I hope it doesn't, because I really like Ezra Miller as the Flash and want to see him in his own movie. But the way things are shaping in this universe, we're getting a new Batman, we're getting a new Suicide Squad with some recasting, Deadshot's being recast. This seems like the whole universe is going to be, have a reshuffle as far as new actors coming into playing roles that have already been established besides Aquaman and Wonder Woman. So we've seen it before. It won't be the worst thing in the world if it does happen, but it's going to be a while probably for the Flash movie. And it's even the article says that it is fitting that it is the Flash movie that's taking so long and going so slowly to move into pre-production into actually filming. So I guess it has that going for it, where it's in line with the Flash's character, but we'll see what happens, but it's going to be a while.
Hopefully they don't go too dark on it.
Yeah.
Because of course I've seen Spider-Man Homecoming, but I've also seen Game Night by the two directors.
Yeah.
And that is a really good movie if you if you're looking for a good movie. It's a really well made movie that is a comedy, and of course doesn't get very dark, but I hope they just keep it light, because I don't know, the dark isn't going very well, right? But you see
at least not full blown dark, yeah.
But you see something like Shazam or even Wonder Woman, and those are probably going to be successful, right?
Yeah. So, all signs are pointing to Shazam being another hit.
But it's an interesting time, I think, right now, because how the head of the Warner Brothers sort of had to resign because of the controversy.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to put somebody new in, and maybe that person will do something different with what we've already seen doesn't work, So
that's true. I imagine that if he sees the stuff that's working, he's going to want to continue with pursuing stuff that are more in line with the previous movies that worked, like Aquaman and Wonder Woman and probably Shazam. So, And that's the thing with Flash. Like I said, balance you got to have. I think the majority has to be in that lighter tone, but Flash does have a darker origin story with his mother being murdered and his father getting, framed for it and being put away because of the murder of his wife. And I mean, if they really want to go dark, I mean, the Flash TV show didn't do this, but in Jeff Johns' Secret Origins comic for the Flash, where Henry Allen never gets released from prison, he dies in prison being viewed as a guilty man. And I think he gets sick with cancer, and Barry wasn't able to prove his innocence in time before he dies. So there's some dark elements to the Flash, but you just got to mix it well. And hopefully they can find that balance in the script, but with Ezra Miller and Grant Morrison, which I was surprised that Grant Morrison is doing it. But trying to think if he's tackled the Flash too much, as far as I know obviously in Justice League stories and Final Crisis and the event ones that he's done, but I haven't read too much of his Flash. So it'll be interesting to see what direction he wants to go with the character as well. Just hopefully not the normal Morrison weirdness. He'll be raised that in a little bit.
I was about to say it's going to be about like Greek gods and stuff. It's going to get into all kinds of philosophical theories and stuff.
Because I imagine Grant Morrison can go pretty crazy with the Speed Force and the multiverse and what encompasses the Flash's story. So just make it enough for us for everyone to digest, where you don't have to backtrack some of his early comics to realize what the heck is going on. But we shall see.
Yeah. It's kind of sad that it's come to this, really.
Yeah.
That Ezra Miller has to write his own script.
I know.
For the Flash movie.
I will say this. That's good that he really loves the character and he wants to play it enough to, he still wants to stick with it and do it the way he wants to or feels is right for the character. It's not just somewhere he just views it as a role, and if it's not what he wants, he'll just walk away. He's really determined to try to make it work, so I give him props for that.
Yeah, I guess so.
We'll just have to see if it works out in the end. But with that, that's actually going to do it for this episode. Unfortunately, no comic reviews. Wasn't able to make it to the shop and get the latest Batman issue, but I heard that one wasn't that great. They're still continuing on the Nightmare story, which on the last episode I thought was wrapping up with the Question and Selena Kyle story in that issue. But apparently it's still going on, and I've heard it wasn't that great. And that's really not much dialogue in it. It's just mainly artwork. So I'll probably check that out later. But and Detective Comics 1000 not out. I thought it was out this week, but it comes out next week, and that'll definitely be one I don't want to miss. So we'll definitely be talking about that on our next episode. But with that, that's going to do it. And hopefully I like Shazam. We'll find out on the next episode for sure. So with that, I'll go ahead and throw it to you, Dane, for the outro.
All right, just go over to BatmanUniverse.net, Facebook.com/BatmanUniverse, Twitter handles @BatmanUniverse. The show's Twitter handle is @Bat-Fans Podcast. Tim's Twitter handle is @TimG311. And my Twitter handle is @DaneSaysBanana. Rate and review us on iTunes, and you can email the show at batfanswithoutpants@gmail.com. So with that, like we say at the end of every single episode, Tim.
We love each and every one of you with all of our Bat and Shazam hearts.
See you guys next time.
See you next time, everybody.